Hi, this is Screen 10 from All the Right Movies. This is the first episode of Screen 10 and everyone's here. So, that's Matt.
Hello.
Luke.
Hello.
And Westy.
Hello.
Look at us.
Lovely this, isn't
The
it?
whole gang.
It's like celebrity squares, isn't it?
Yeah.
Minus the
Who's on the
celebrity.
bottom? Who's on the top? It's like that episode of The Young Ones, isn't it? Start hitting each other.
University challenge.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Well, yeah, it is a new show, and the premise of the show is top 10 movie lists, basically. So we'll be counting down and bringing you our top 10s in all manner of film-based topics, and we're starting with top 10 movie fights. A little bit niche, so does somebody want to explain what that means, what's included, what's not?
Sure thing. Yeah, so we're covering the whole gamut of world cinema here, talking everything including backstreet brawls, sword fights, some mind-bending special effects and balletic choreography as well. But what we're not talking about is like the huge battle scenes, so that discounts the likes of the Battle of Stirling Bridge from Braveheart or the bloody gunfight from The Wild Bunch, for example.
Yeah, they're more battle sequences, and we're
Yeah.
talking about kind of like singular
exactly that.
fight moments. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, let's get started then. Might as well
Okay.
start with number 10, do you think?
Well, yeah,
Why
scrap
not?
on.
So, starting with the first entry, number 10, and it's a pretty big one to open with.
Oh, yeah.
Similar sequences that didn't make the 10. We looked at superhero films like Captain America's climactic fight with Iron Man and Captain America Civil War. That didn't make it.
Nope.
Nor did Superman versus General Zod in Superman 2. That Coca-Cola slamming is great.
Oh, it's outrageous.
One step outside if you disagree with this choice.
The Bourne Identity has some similarity with our pick, but it's
Yeah.
not that. And some final clues, it's a big influence on another fight that we looked at in Equilibrium. For
wow,
influence,
yeah.
see, massive rip-off.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, great film though. Loads of fun.
And if you want the same actor in another great movie fight, check out the nightclub sequence in John Wick.
Absolutely.
So it can only be The Matrix.
My name is Neo.
Directed by the Wachowskis, The Matrix was a cultural phenomenon on its release. Telling the tale of Neo and his discovery of a simulated reality, the story comes to a climax when Neo faces off against antagonist Agent Smith in a subway station. The Matrix has it all. Shootouts, philosophy, goths, science fiction, and kung fu. So,
Yeah, a wet dream.
what do we think of this as our number 10 then?
Oh, he's beginning to believe, isn't he? I mean, come on. There's so many good lines in
That's
this
a
in this
great
fight
line.
sequence. It's so good. And the Western standoff with the bags flying
It's
across.
great, yeah.
And it's like a complete Sergio Leone rip-off. That's absolutely brilliant. And he's just looking at the stairs and he decides to stay. You know,
Brilliant.
it's great. Now, and one of my main pet hates is when they stop a fight in the middle and then have a little bit of a discussion.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of bits in this,
Yeah.
but it works so well.
I'm gonna enjoy watching you die.
It's just so good and weaving so good. And he does all of this in a fucking suit. Like, I couldn't sit through a wedding in a suit. It's so impressive.
Yeah, this was actually my number one choice. For the
Really?
fight.
was it?
Wow.
Yeah, it was,
Wow,
yeah.
really?
It's a storytelling for me, yeah. You sort of mentioned
Yeah.
there, Westy, because Neo's been on
Yeah.
this like journey and learning, and this is like the culmination of it. And we get to see what
Yeah.
he can do. And the bit where he could run but turns to face Smith, I just love that moment.
There's that shot of Trinity as well. When she puts her hand up and the
Yeah,
bullet comes
that's
in
great.
like it should be hit.
Yeah.
And it's like the telephone's broken. It's absolutely fantastic. But I do prefer this when the guns are thrown away. You know, the bit with the bullet time.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the other bullet time bits, I don't think. It's just a little bit jarring for me. But when it goes into it, it's just
The
brilliant.
fight is incredible. I mean, Keanu Reeves, he's done Point Break and Speed by this point, so it's no surprise he's good in this sort of thing. Hugo
Yeah.
Weaving, sincerely doing Kung Fu, should be hilariously shit.
And he's not the
It's not.
The guy from Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Look, he's turned into a bloody good little performer.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But he's like a robot. He's like reading what Neo does and letting them hit them, and then kind of returning the hits. And it's incredible work. I mean, Yen Wu Ping, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Who did all
choreographer.
the choreography, fucking brilliant, man.
Yeah,
It's the effects
brilliant.
work for me. I mean, it was a total game changer, this film. And this fight was the one that really stood out. Like, effects work's off the scale.
It is.
Yeah, and he jumps away from the train. Fantastic.
Yeah.
My name is Neo. Another great line.
Yeah,
Great. It's like a little film in itself.
So, a good start then to the top 10.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Yeah.
Christ, that's the 10.
Let's see what's next. At 9, we're looking at the outnumbered scrap. So that's one person taking on many adversaries. So the Daywalker bloodbath in Blade is memorable, but it's
Yep.
not that. Captain America featured again in the elevator fight in The Winter Soldier, but it's not
Yep.
that either.
Yeah, it's great.
And Charlize Theron's staircase beatings in Atomic Blonde just missed out on the top 20.
That's so underrated.
Oh,
that
yeah,
film.
that's great.
And a final clue, there was another fight from the same director that we looked at, and that was Cliff Booth versus the Manson family in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So, 9th place then, what is it?
No tinted dog food in this.
No flamethrowers. It is, of course, The Bride versus the Crazy 88.
So, Oren, any more subordinates for me to kill?
When the bride awakens from a 4-year coma, she sets out on a revenge mission against her would-be killers. Her second target is deadly assassin Oren Ishii, but first must get past Oren's squad of protectors, the Crazy 88. Tarantino and martial arts, together at last.
Thank God.
So, Kill Bill Volume 1, The Crazy 88, we like it, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, QT knows all about this. I mean, he knows about every genre, really. But he crowbars everything that he loves into this mammoth, like 7-minute slaughter fest, which took 8 weeks to film. And he cuts from colour and black and white in a nod to watching like the Kung Fu movies
Yeah, I
on
love that.
TV's favourites. Yeah, great. That was a way to get around the censors, and it was his way to get around the MPA as well. And to do it at the moment of the eye gouge is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and come back with the eye blink as well.
Yeah,
Back
very
colour.
good.
But I've got the Japanese unrated DVD version of that.
Of course you
And
have.
It's all in colour. And there's bits where it's not cut out. You know the kid who like begs and he's like, "Ugh," and she like spanks him for going with the
Oh,
accuser?
yeah.
Yeah,
He does that at the start of the fight as well in the unrated version.
All right.
So
Ah,
it's
right.
like that's why she loses her shit with him and hits him.
Ah,
And,
right.
like, in that later on, there's loads more in it. It's far, far, far better. There's a cut available on the internet that you can watch, and the Japanese unrated DVD version of this is fucking ridiculous. It's stupid.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, the choreography's just, off the scale.
Yeah.
And it's all practical effects as well. QT using, like, fire extinguishers and condoms filled with blood. Fake
Yeah.
blood, obviously.
Yeah.
And that moment where the bride's silhouetted with the blue light.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That looks incredible. And it's got, like, a real, like, badass performance from Uma Thurman in her, like, iconic Bruce Lee tracksuit, the yellow tracksuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that final line,
Tadashi. Nakushita te ashiwa.
probably the best thing anybody could say at that moment after slicing up each people.
Absolutely. When she gets on that guy's shoulders and then front flips off his shoulders and then cuts a guy in half.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, man.
Great.
Some of those limbs being lopped off for a bit Monty Python, though.
Tis but a scratch.
Yeah. Just a
A
flesh
little bit
wound.
Monty Python there.
We'll call it a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. When the human beings plays and she starts doing breakdancing and everyone's feet are coming off. Yeah, fantastic.
Great.
Same choreographer as The Matrix fight as well, Wu Ping Yuen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally different though.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
QT then, not noted for his big fight scenes outside of Kill Bill necessarily, but this one is pretty special.
Yeah,
it's massive.
spectacular.
Huge.
It's huge.
On to number 8, and it's martial arts movies and Asian cinema. So the Butcher House scene in The Night Comes For Us just missed out on the top 25.
Brutal, that one.
It is
Yeah.
grim.
Seven Samurai from the legendary Akira Kurosawa
Wow.
did make the top 25. And Jackie Chan could have been in here a few times, and he did show up in First Strike.
Yeah.
And the Raid series made 2 appearances, the end fight of the first film, and then the huge kitchen climax in the Raid 2.
Yeah.
Great.
Such good films.
Yeah, so some big names there, and it's probably the biggest of martial arts names at number 8. We're talking Bruce Lee and Enter the Dragon.
You have offended my family, and you have offended the Shaolin Temple.
Out for revenge on the drug traffickers responsible for the death of his sister, undercover martial artist Lee enters a kung fu competition. Having already killed his sister's murderer, the film climaxes with Lee's showdown with gang leader Han. Not Han Solo. That wouldn't have been much of a scrap.
Never tell me the odds.
But Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon. I mean, classic stuff, right?
Yeah, iconic.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely classic. Because, like, we live in a time where it's relatively easy now to see action films from Korea or China, Asia, wherever. But back then, it was like they were an underground genre. So I think for Bruce Lee to cut through the way that he did into Western culture, just that in itself is an incredible feat.
And it was this film that did that. It was this scene that made him massive.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, and there is loads you could choose from, but this one, it's an obvious one because it's him at his best. I mean, he wasn't the greatest actor to come on. He's just got such presence.
100%,
And, I mean, he looks great. The way he's toying with Han with this, licking his own blood. Like, the noises he makes, which, like, every kid, as soon as they saw this, would copy them in the playground the next day.
Yeah.
And like, if you'd never seen anything in this genre before and you went to see this and that scene, you must have just looked at him and gone, who the hell is that guy? Where's he come from? He's just such an astonishing breakthrough star with this. But did you know that he faked his own death so he could go undercover for the Hong Kong police?
Apparently.
Yeah, I reckon that's true, because if you were going to send someone undercover to investigate the triads, you'd probably want the world's most famous Chinese film star.
He fights Wall in both. But Norris is in Way of the Dragon.
Yeah, think you could take him, Matt, Bruce Lee?
On intellect alone, I'm sure.
He would. Yeah, I'll just read him, bore him to death.
Yeah.
Then you go around like smashing all the mirrors in my house.
That kick.
Oh, it's like a minute in, and it's just like it's a dummy, and he's whap, 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 whap.
It's the fastest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He's dead. Kicks his head
incredible.
off. He's dead. Surely.
Yeah.
But it's great, like, from Han's point of view at the start, when it's just that camera and you see that claw come up, and Bruce Lee's just taking the piss out of him until he gets into that mirrored room, and then you just get iconic imagery after iconic imagery. It's just so good. Like, how they shot that must have been an absolute
great.
headache. No reflections whatsoever, but it's just beautifully done.
I know that he did have a piece of metal in his hand when he was smashing all the mirrors, so not so tough after all.
Right.
Yeah.
Not full of shit.
Which I put a bottom in my votes now.
Yeah, 2-inch punch for the mirror. Rubbish.
But yeah, that's number 8 then, and I mean, Bruce Lee had to be in there somewhere, surely.
Oh, of course.
Definitely.
Lucky number 7 then, and it's a big fight from a big series. Could have been James Bond several times in Casino Royale, The Spy Who Loved Me, or From Russia with Love, but it wasn't.
Yep.
The climax of Lethal Weapon, Riggs versus Mr. Joshua, was also in there, but missed out. And another clue, from the same director, we looked at Saving Private Ryan in the fight to the death between Mellish and the German soldier.
Nah, no one wants to see that.
Well, look at that second.
I did.
Did you?
I had that second.
Jesus.
Really high.
Macabre.
Just miserable.
It's so powerful.
It is powerful. You're right. Like,
huge.
but I mean, Christ.
But number 7 then, we are talking Spielberg, so what could it be?
It's got to be Raiders.
Raiders,
Come on.
obviously.
Of course, it's Indiana Jones versus the Mechanic in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh my god.
In a race with a group of Nazis to find the powerful Ark of the Covenant, archaeologist Indiana Jones is sidetracked when he finds old flame Marion Ravenwood held captive. Having rescued Marion, Indy finds himself in a fistfight with a Nazi mechanic. Bare knuckle brawler. This guy, stripped to the waist.
Coming out of his hood, everything off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy as Larry.
Yeah.
Luke had this up in third, Matt in fourth. The only surprise that Westy had this 19th.
What? I'm stunned.
Westy, I was expecting your top five to be every fight from Raiders.
I know. I think I've just seen it. I think I've just seen it too many times.
Right.
And I can't single it away from the actual film. Like it's just ingrained as part of it. I can't see it as a separate thing because it exists within it. But this as a fight sequence is so good. This is Spielberg's very first fight sequence that he's ever really put on film. If you think about it, and it's all his ideas. Indy sees this big guy coming. There's the foreshadowing with the wrench going in the propeller, so you see what's going to happen later anyway. But he's kicking him in the balls. He's looking down at the floor. He's throwing dust in his face. He's biting him. He's awful. And you should be like, this is the hero right here. And he's absolutely crap. And that first punch that he hits, and his legs go, he's just on his arse. It's just so good. I think Pat Roach is absolutely fantastic in this.
Yeah. Dual role for Roach as well.
Yeah. He's great as and he's thuggy as well in Temple of Doom.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he's also a member of the Gestapo. He's meant to fight Indy on the limb in Last Crusade, but he said that Spielberg had trouble satisfying his wife.
Wow.
So he cut everything out and then burnt the negative, which is outrageous. I just read that today. Yeah.
No ticket.
What a fight sequence! It's great. I love how Marion's involved. I love how she pulls the chocks away and the plane's
great.
moving around and there's fire there, and it ends in this huge set piece with all them running away and there's just this massive fireball going. The sound effects of an Indiana Jones fight are just so
the
good.
best punch sounds ever. Yeah.
They're amazing.
They're like nothing else ever. And the gun sounds, but it's even like the plane sounds small compared to the punch. I think it's just brilliant. Absolutely love it. I love the comedy that Spielberg builds into this. It's just
classic.
so watchable.
He's an underrated physical comedian.
Oh, he's fantastic.
He is.
Yeah.
Like he takes a punch in the chops like no one else can make you laugh. At
and
the
his
same time.
timing's so good because he knows he's supposed to be the hard guy, but I think he kind of resents that a little bit, and that's why he works so well as Indiana Jones. Why he works so well as Han Solo.
Yeah.
Why he works so well as Rick Deckard, I think, because he's like every one of them fights he loses every time.
It also reminds me a bit of Cary Grant because Cary Grant's someone who looks like a movie star. So does Harrison Ford. So they get put in these big leading roles, but I think they're both at the best doing comedy.
Excuse me, madam, are you referring to me?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a subplot in this scene, Marion just icing Nazis left and right. I love it. Absolutely brilliant.
Blows up a whole truckload. And she can't open the cockpit. Just move the thing. Just move. Oh, it doesn't matter. Shoots it. Brilliant. Let's move out of the way.
Well, like Bruce Lee, I think Indiana Jones was always going to be in there. Lots to choose from. I mean, the barroom fight at the start.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Whiskey.
Whiskey.
But we made the right choice, I think.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I think so, yeah. It's fantastic.
We chose wisely.
Brilliant.
Sixth spot then. A surprise one maybe, or maybe not, but I think of this as a pretty tongue-in-cheek scrap, as is Ash fighting his own hand in Evil Dead 2. But that didn't get in the top 10. The news teams fighting in Anchorman is a bit of a modern classic comedy fight sequence. And the climax of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World was in there, but that came in towards the end of the list.
Yeah, not big on that.
And Martin fighting Felix in Grosse Point Blank has some similarities. That one just missed out, top 25.
Yeah,
but sixth place then, if I told you he's all out of bubblegum, what is it?
They live.
He's going to kick some ass.
I don't want to fight you. Put on the glasses.
Homeless drifter Nada discovers a pair of sunglasses that show the world as it really is, aliens controlling humanity. Nada tries to show his co-worker Frank. Frank refuses to try the glasses on, and a brawl ensues. Fists, kicks, headlocks, and suplexes in this one. And nod to Rowdy Roddy Piper's WWF days, obviously. How's this is a big screen fight, though? Matthew had this at number 2.
What?
Did you? Wow.
Wow.
Oh, you do love this, like. That's
I love
fair
it.
enough.
I do love this, and when I was putting the list together, I thought I've got to have a comical fight in here.
You dirty motherfucker!
I've got to have one that's just as funny as it is, violent, exciting, whatever. Because there's like the tradition of them. You think like of all the old westerns when just a fight erupts and people are slugging each other over tables. It's that type of humour. Because it doesn't need to be this long, but that's part of the funniness
really
to
long.
me. Somebody's
It's really long.
It's really long.
Too long.
And it's like it's two guys just being absolute dicks. Like Nada insisting Frank put the glasses on,
Put on the glasses.
and Frank insisting that he's not going to do it.
Fuck you.
And just the way it just all spills over from there, it goes on and on and on, and it is ridiculous. And there's just loads of dirty fighting as well. Frank needs Nada in the balls, I think, 5 times in a row, and then breaks his car window. Like I say, I just find it hilarious, really, really
It's great,
funny.
though, as it's just a massive commentary on how much you need to show somebody the truth and how blind they are to it. You really need to just pummel somebody and say, put these on and have a look. That's in your opinion. When he finally puts them on, he's like, oh, right, okay, I get it now. And it's still like best mates, like holding each other against the wall. It's fucking great, man.
That moment when Frank goes to break the glass and the whole thing shatters.
It was actually rehearsed in John Carpenter's backyard across 2 months. And it was long because it was only supposed to be about 20 seconds. But Roddy Piper and Keith David decided to fight pretty much for real. And the only fake punches are the ones to the head and the crotch. So all the slugging each other in the gut, they were punching each other for real.
Yeah.
Well, it's a wrestling match, isn't it?
Yes,
Basically. And Piper knows exactly what he's doing with that. He's like, let's just do a wrestling match on camera, which is fantastic.
So that closes out the first half. Should we see what's in the top 5?
Well,
Let's do it.
Into the top 5 now, and this is a classic movie fight subgenre, the sword fight.
Oh, yes.
I threw Rob Roy versus Cunningham into the mix, and it came in dead last.
That's
No surprise there. No surprise.
The Adventures of Robin Hood didn't make the top 10. Massively influential, that one, though.
Yeah, that's great.
Wesley versus Inigo Montoya in The Princess Bride is great, but that didn't make the top 10. Shouldn't have used left hands, maybe. Just. And Maximus versus Titus the Gaul in the Colosseum is massive, and that just missed out as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And as well as swordplay, our 5th spot also covers martial arts and Chinese cinema. It's Yu Shu Lien versus Jen Yu in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Yeah! 19th century China, and warrior Yu Shu Lien and her lover are on a quest to find the stolen mystical sword, Green Destiny. Having tracked the sword cross-country, Shu Lien duels with its new owner, Jen Yu, in a blistering bout. Hard to keep up with this one, isn't it?
Yes.
Loads of weapons as well, loads of blades.
Loads of weapons.
Love that.
Too many.
Not too many. There's never too
There's
many.
never too many weapons, man.
Come on. It just gets more inventive every time she picks something else up. It's just fucking brilliant.
So why are we calling this the greatest classic sword fight then?
Well, I mean, this is the real deal for me, this one.
Yeah.
I don't think it feels so obviously choreographed, even though obviously it is, but it just feels very natural. Michelle Yeoh spent 12 months learning Mandarin and preparing for the fight scenes, and it really pays off in this because both actresses are incredible. Doing their own stunts, the only CGI was to remove the safety wires. I particularly love the overhead shots and the use of props.
Brilliant.
Like, you can really see how fatal those blows would be considering the destruction of everything around them, like the table and chairs being obliterated and the ground smashing with every missed blow. That's absolutely incredible.
It's the speed of it as well.
Yeah.
So fast.
It's unbelievable, yeah.
It's really
unbelievably fast.
Yeah. It takes itself seriously, but not too seriously. There's 2 really funny moments when Lien gets pulled back by the weight of one of those weapons that she pulls out. So that's great.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it's great.
and so is the bit when Jen tells her not to be a sore loser, and she throws down a weapon like a child. That's really funny. Really well judged.
Yeah.
Do you know who the choreographer was?
Wu Ping?
Of course it was.
Yeah.
Wu Ping Yuan. Also, I love this. In the screenplay, there was a note inside the cover which said, "You will note in the script that none of the fight scenes are described. I will just inform you now that they will be the greatest fight scenes ever in the history of cinema."
Just a casual note.
Absolute confidence. Proceed with absolute confidence. I love it.
Or fifth greatest, according to us, though.
Yeah. Fifth. Yeah, I mean, fucking hell, it's not
Good
bad.
company.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
So, yeah, fifth place for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Definitely an earned place, I think.
Without doubt.
Oh, yeah. One of the best sword fights ever put on film.
Yeah,
ever.
that's great.
Sword fights are a subgenre of the movie fight, and for number 4, we've got a subgenre of sword fights. The lightsaber duel. Very niche, but as every Star Wars film now has about 6 lightsaber fights each, there were plenty to choose from. Of the recent Disney efforts, I think maybe Rey versus Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens might be the highlight, or the throne room sequence from The Last Jedi. But Luke Skywalker versus Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi is big. Luke v. Vader in The Empire Strikes Back is even bigger, but it's neither of those.
No.
We're talking prequels territory somehow.
Unbelievable.
How is this crept into the
You counted this right, John?
Done this right.
Are you sure? Like, we're all surprised by this. I don't think any of us voted.
Well, it certainly wasn't going to be any of that Revenge of the Sith nonsense. It is Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Maul in The Phantom Menace.
You have been well trained, my young apprentice. They will be no match for
you. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi are sent to settle a trade dispute, and after a lot of things happen, some that make sense, some that don't, it boils down to a lightsaber swinging contest as the two Jedi are confronted by Sith Lord Darth Maul. The rest of the film might not be great, but this fight is, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes. And I mean, I think this is in here because it completely saves the film and saves such an important franchise. And it was one of them things where it was like, please, Jesus Christ, let this be good. And even the dialogue's pretty good because there's none. So it was like, we'll handle this. It's great because you kind of believe them. And then you see a double lightsaber, which is really good. I mean, we're quite like immature talking about this, but that's the whole point of it. It makes you feel childish. It makes you feel excited. The fact that it cuts to the Gungan fight is annoying as that really does. But you can see a cut to this online where it's just the actual fight, and it's fantastic. It's just so well done. The choreography is great. Duel of the Fates by Williams,
It's
unbelievable.
magnificent.
If that wasn't on there, it wouldn't be anywhere near as good.
It wouldn't.
Using the Force to move a box to open a door. I've seen that before.
Yeah, that's very good.
That's so good as he's spinning the lightsaber around. And there's that moment where Qui-Gon's actually died and Obi-Wan's waiting to get through that force field. I mentioned it on the episode, and he comes through, and there's that bit of choreography between him and Ray Park, which is fantastically played out by McGregor. It's really, really good. It's really entertaining. It's what I wanted for 2 hours, and I only got it for like 4 minutes. But it's fantastic because it's just like this is what I wanted Star Wars to be. Forever. It's got more energy, it's got more pace, it's got more style, and it's what I wanted to see, and then it just disappears after this forever. Which is such a shame.
I think the most surprising thing is that Luke had this in 5th. Nearly fell off my chair.
Indeed. Yeah.
Wow.
I thought I'd throw you a bone on this one.
Throw you a double-edged lightsaber.
I think the only mistake was killing off Darth Maul and not replacing him.
Terrible idea.
Stupid.
Should have chopped Jar Jar in half instead.
Fantastic. He just maimed him. Like, he cut his hand off the same way that Luke's hand was cut off, and then he comes back even more pissed off. That would have been great. There's so many things you could have done. Why didn't you just give us a ring and just ask?
A terrible misstep.
Because Ray Parker's so good. Like, when he's pacing up and down. Like a caged animal.
He's great.
Just wanting to get stuck in the fight
angry.
again. That's amazing.
And it's absolutely, this scene, absolutely the best thing out of the last 6 films
Oh.
in the Skywalker
100%,
saga.
100%.
Easy.
100%.
Yeah.
So this lightsaber fight then coming in 4th, I think easily the best moment of the prequels, certainly.
Yeah,
Oh, without doubt.
It saved everyone's life, so it's important.
3rd place, and this is also a quite niche theme, it's fights that take place in one location. So we looked at the church fight in Kingsman, I was very surprised how low the sauna fight in Eastern Promises finished, especially with Wesley's affinity for Viggo Mortensen.
Aragorn. Who's Viggo Mortensen?
And the bathroom fight scene in Mission Impossible Fallout was a strong one that just missed out. Third place, though, is a classic. From South Korea, the one-shot corridor fight sequence in Oldboy.
AB형 손들어라.
Abducted, drugged and locked in a cell for 15 years, Dae-Shu is released and free to investigate what happened. Discovering a private prison, Dae-Shu comes across a corridor armed with prison guards and must fight his way out. Westy, numero uno for you, this one. Number one.
Really? Wow.
I'm surprised this wasn't number one, to be honest. I saw it and it was just mind-blowingly good. When it cuts to that tracking shot, it cuts to that dolly, and you're on the side, and it reminded me of like Kung Fu on the Nintendo.
Yeah, double tracking. I was going to say,
yeah. Just you've got that single frame, and you walk around, you just look, and it's backwards and forwards, and the sound design on this couldn't be any further removed from, say, Indiana Jones fight.
Yeah,
it's just slapping, and it's just like realistic, and it's hideous, and he gets the shit kicked out of him, and he's got a hammer, and he's like slamming everybody, and it's a 3-minute tracking shot. And it goes forward, and you just think it's going to continue, and it stops, and it goes back, and it goes forward, and it stops, and it goes back again, and you just think it's just realistic, kind of. I actually think that I was watching something that was done for real. Like, you just went into it and just went for it. It doesn't feel choreographed. No. Everyone seems terrified. He seems really, really content in what he's doing. He's very, very focused. And you've just got that incredible final shot where it cuts to the Z-axis, and you've got everyone in the background crying on the floor, and he looks up and the elevator opens and you don't know what's happened yet, but there's just that bit of that blood down his neck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You notice that, and it's like, there's your shot, enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. And I mean, Spike Lee tried to recreate it with Josh Brolin in the remake, and he's going up and down, and he's on different levels, and it works for about 20 seconds. This is 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And every single second of this works. 100%. It's fantastic.
They did 17 takes of it as well. I mean, it's exhausting just watching one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you see why he's knocked. But they actually said, like, the butterfly knife in the back was CGI.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
And that's the only thing that was actually put in there, because, I mean, you can't really stab someone on the back, but I'm surprised it didn't. To be honest, 17 takes, do it for real. Get it done properly.
I mean, he ate an octopus in an earlier scene.
Yeah. You know, and I was thinking, well, how far do they need to go? Is that his actual daughter?
So, Oldboy, a great technical achievement and pretty brutal to watch.
Yeah.
Really brutal.
Really brutal.
Into the final two then, and we've got a monster fight. Aragorn takes on Lurtz the Uruk-hai in the Fellowship of the Ring. More Mortensen, Westy.
Yep.
Of course.
Aragorn.
Return of the Jedi has another honourable mention here when Luke fights the Rancor. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And one that's similar in some ways to our choice is Arnold versus the Predator in Predator.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Sully there.
I lied.
But with those clues, second place, fairly obvious, I think, maybe.
Oh, it has to be.
Yeah.
Iron Jim, Sigourney Weaver, an alien queen. It's aliens. Returning to the source of her nightmares, Lieutenant Ellen Ripley finds herself in a fight for survival, her own and the 9-year-old girl she's surrogate mothers. In an almighty finale, Ripley has a showdown with the film's other mother, the Alien Queen. So this one was Luke's number one.
Yes.
So why this one, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, every other character here wishes they could be like Ellen Ripley. She's incredible. Yeah. To start off, the loader is beautifully set up earlier in the film.
Where you want it?
Bay 12, please.
Yeah, lovely.
And then in this scene, Ripley delivers one of the most iconic lines of dialogue in any film.
Get away from her, you bitch!
And then this epic battle. I mean, it's mind-boggling, controlled by two guys inside black polythene bags and some off-camera crew pulling fishing wire. Mind-boggling. 1986, it still holds up.
Yeah.
It just looks absolutely incredible, but that's in no small way by Cameron's use of lighting and smoke to disorientate and cover up the limitations of the special effects. But the Queen is so unpredictable in her attack. That snapping alien jaw is the most terrifying thing ever, I think.
Yeah.
And then
it's the sound design on
sound
this.
design is incredible.
The hiss of the Queen, but the movement of the Lord.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's absolutely brilliant.
And then there's that incredible overhead shot of her on top of the alien in the evacuation bay, and then that epic struggle to close the doors before everybody gets sucked into oblivion. I mean, even having watched this film dozens of times, it's still edge of the seat stuff. Two mothers going head to head. Two bad mothers. It's incredible.
The first punch to Ripley though, when she's in there. That bang, and then the Queen's like, "What the fuck is this?" I thought when I first saw this, like the Queen was just going to pick that loader up and just shake it out, but it's just it doesn't happen. There's just this real weight to that whole thing, and it's just massively brilliant. It's just so good.
I mentioned this on the episode we did. I love how there's no music to this fight.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
Ripley pumped up, screaming, "Come on!"
Yeah.
Come on!
Yeah.
To the alien.
It's great.
Oh, come on!
Yeah,
It's
brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Flamethrower, little flamethrower.
Tiny.
make some s'mores with that.
Yeah, the Alien Queen is a creation. She was a huge animatronic, also a scale model and a miniature. Just fantastic. None of it looks fake. It all looks real. Brilliant.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's so
And this one, as well as being Luke's number 1, it was mine and Westy's number 2. Scuppered by Matt, who had it 21st.
What, Matthew?
Well, I thought we were all on the same page.
A worthy second place, though, I think. But should we find out the winner?
Yes, indeed.
Let's do it.
Pumped.
Let's do it.
The winner, then. The greatest movie fight. As a quick aside, a subgenre which we haven't discussed yet is boxing. And there's lots of great ones there. Like Rocky versus Apollo Creed. Jake LaMotta v. Sugar Ray Robinson in Raging Bull. One Punch Mickey in Snatch. Maggie versus Billy the Blue Bear in $1 Million Baby. All good, but all came nowhere.
Ivan Drago?
He wasn't in there.
My favourite.
So Drago number 1 then.
It would have been if it was there.
Well, the winner, fittingly I think, covers a few of our categories. It's an outnumbered fight, monsters, a sword fight, special effects. If I say Ray Harryhausen in 1963, you surely know what it is.
Dead giveaway.
You're going to say Jason and the Argonauts for absolute
It is.
sure.
Jason and the Argonauts versus the Living Skeletons.
Those who steal the golden fleece must die.
After saving the life of his royal father's usurper, Jason and his band of men go in search of the Golden Fleece. The Argonauts encounter all manner of mythological creatures, none more memorable than the fateful battle with the living skeletons. The overall number 1 was Matt's number 1. And this is the only one that was in all of our top 10s as well.
Really?
Right. Okay.
So,
Deserving.
why number 1 then, Matt?
Yeah, it was only ever going to be this one for me. I mean, I've loved this one since I was a kid. And it's Ray Harryhausen. I mean, I just love his work. I think it's really interesting. You talk about him more than you talk about the actual directors of the films that he made. You know, I couldn't tell you who directed Jason and the Argonauts. Don't have a clue, because it's all about what Ray Harryhausen brings to it. And the thing is, his special effects that aren't special effects, the characters in their own right. Like when those skeletons haul themselves out of the ground, you can feel that the evil and the malice is coming out of them. You can see they're just waiting to get stuck into the fight, and they're really nasty pieces of work. And it's a sequence where, for one thing, you have to be an absolute madman with the patience of a saint to animate this, to do it.
It's mind-boggling.
Frame by frame. How you even get your head around doing that, I have no idea. And that's why I think it just stands up so well to the day. And it's so well shot as well, because they cut from mid shots to wide shots to close-ups. They blend in the skeletons in all those different shots with the Argonauts jumping around, parrying blows, jumping over the swords, ducking. I'm just looking to go, how? You know, CGI is great, and when you're creating huge armies like Lord of the Rings, it's amazing. But for smaller fights like this, I think practical effects are so much better. And I would still say this is the finest thing Harryhausen ever created.
Yeah, the most iconic thing, certainly, I think. On the process that you followed, what they did was they recorded the live footage first, a year in advance, so as to give Harryhausen as much time as possible to animate the skeletons using stop motion. And it was so painstaking, you would get through about half a second of footage a day. And altogether, it took 4.5 months just to animate this sequence. Must have been sick of his life.
Great photo online. And the stuntmen, and they've all got numbers on the back for which skeleton they represented. And then the actors would have to act without the stuntmen there, so they knew how they were going to cut it together. In 4.5 months, man.
Yeah. It's incredible.
But you know, there's so many little bits. There's a bit when Phileris, who's the guy with the beard, he goes over the wall.
Yes.
And he jumps over the wall. And the skeleton just sits on the wall and goes over on its arse. Have you seen it? It's fucking majestic. It just goes... And Harryhausen, that's taken him, 3 to 4 weeks to do that one move? And you just think bits like that are just so good. But when they first appear, and it's that slow walk. And then that scream.
And then the jump interaction. Oh my God.
Fucking hell. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying when I was a kid. I thought Talos was bad enough, and then this happened. I thought, fuck me, I still haven't slept.
I mean, the influence is massive, I mean, obviously. But I could clearly see the endoskeleton from the Terminator rewatching this.
Totally. 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
I love how it ends as well when he dives off the cliff. And they all follow him off the cliff. It's great.
Loads of bones in a bag. Open as the bag. Tip them over, will you?
So there it is, our top 10 movie fights. Are we happy with how that all turned out?
I think so. Yeah, I think that needs the recognition it deserves. But still, 1963.
Well, that one,
black and white television in the house. And Harryhausen did that. I mean, come on. Yeah.
I'd say that is a definitive list for certain.
Yeah, the official.
Yeah. And if you've not seen any of them, you're in for a massive treat. Just watch all them 10. Yeah.
Well, not Phantom Menace. Just watch that bit.
Yeah. If we have missed anything off in anyone's opinion, let us know in the comments.
Yes, indeed.
But that is our top 10 movie fights. If you like this episode, then please support us on Patreon. Becoming an All the Right Movies Patreon will get you access to benefits like bonus episodes of our other show, The Cutting Room, and lots of other benefits too. Mainly though, becoming a patron will allow us to carry on making videos and make more of them.
Yes.
That is it for now. If you have any ideas on other future shows of the Screen Time we could do, other top 10 lists, please leave a comment.
Yeah.
And for now, we'll say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.